All right, let's cut the crap. Our world is obsessed with speed. Instant replies, same-day delivery, high-frequency trading, life hacks to get you rich, ripped, and enlightened by next Tuesday. The message is clear. Faster is better. To hesitate is to lose. To pause is to fall behind. We treat life like a race, and we are terrified of the stopwatch. But let's be brutally honest. What are the biggest mistakes you've ever made? The dumbest decisions, the most regrettable moments? I'm willing to bet most of them were made in a hurry. The angry text you fired off in a moment of rage. The impulsive purchase you made in a moment of excitement. The relationship-ending words you spat out because you were hurt and not thinking. Our biggest disasters are almost always born from a lack of patience. What if our greatest strength isn't our speed, but our ability to deliberately slow down? What if the most powerful move you can make in any situation is to do nothing at all, at least for a little while? This isn't some new age mindfulness trend. This is a hard-edged, strategic principle for a life of strength and clarity, laid down 2,000 years ago by the Roman Stoic, Seneca. He gave us two principles on the power of time, a tool that can act as both a magnifying glass for truth and a medicine for our deepest wounds. The first principle is a direct command to resist our culture's addiction to instant reaction. Seneca wrote that we should always let some time elapse, for time discloses the truth. This is a strategic tool, not a passive one. It's a weapon against the most dangerous enemy you will ever face, your own emotional, reactive lizard brain. In the heat of the moment, when you're insulted, when you get bad news, when you feel a rush of lust or greed, your rational mind goes offline. Your amygdala, the ancient, emotional core of your brain, hijacks the system. It floods you with cortisol and adrenaline. You are in fight or flight mode. And in that state, you are, to be blunt, an idiot. Your perception is distorted. You see threats that aren't there, and you miss opportunities that are. You are a slave to the chemical storm inside you. Time is the antidote. Letting time elapse is the act of giving your prefrontal cortex, your rational mind, a chance to get back in the driver's seat. The emotional storm passes. The cortisol recedes, and the situation comes into sharp, clear focus. Think of a warrior in the field. A novice soldier reacts to the first gunshot with panic. He fires blindly, gives away his position, and gets himself killed. An elite operator is different. After the first shot, he doesn't react. He pauses. He uses that sliver of time to assess. Where did the shot come from? How many are there? What is my cover? What is the objective? Time, even just a few seconds, discloses the truth of the tactical situation. The pause is what separates the amateur from the professional. It's the difference between life and death. This same principle applies in the boardroom, on the trading floor, and in your personal life. Consider the story of George Washington at Valley Forge during the American Revolution. His army was starving, freezing, and on the brink of collapse. The immediate emotional impulse might have been to launch a desperate all-or-nothing attack, or to admit defeat and disband. Both would have been disastrous. Washington did neither. He used the brutal winter as an instrument of time. He let time disclose the truth. And the truth that emerged was that his army, though battered, had a core of unbreakable resilience. He used that winter not to fight a battle of arms, but to forge a new kind of army. He brought in Baron von Steuben to drill the soldiers relentlessly, turning a ragtag militia into a disciplined fighting force. He didn't react to the disaster. He used time to transform it into an opportunity. By spring, the truth disclosed was that he had a stronger, more professional army than before. This is a principle that is hard-coded into our legal and financial systems. It's called a cooling-off period. You can't finalize a major contract or a divorce settlement on the same day. The law forces you to let time elapse, precisely because it knows that decisions made in the heat of the moment are often terrible decisions. Seneca's wisdom is so powerful, we've had to write it into our laws to protect us from ourselves. So why aren't you using it in your own life? The next time you feel that rush of anger or panic, see it as a signal. Not a signal to act, but a signal to pause, to walk away, to sleep on it, to let time do its work and show you the truth of the situation. So, time is a tool for clarity, a magnifying glass for truth. It's the sword you use to cut through the fog of emotion and make better decisions. But what about the moments when clarity isn't enough? What about the wounds that can't be outthought? The crushing pain of grief, a profound betrayal, a career-ending failure. These are the moments where your rational mind looks at the situation clearly and concludes correctly that it is a catastrophe. Reason can analyze the wound, but it cannot heal it. Seneca, a man who endured the death of his own infant son and a brutal 8-year exile from his home, knew this landscape of pain intimately. He understood the limits of pure logic, and he offered a second, profound piece of wisdom for these situations. He wrote that time heals what reason cannot. This is a no BS admission from a master of reason. It is the acknowledgement that some parts of the human experience are not logical problems to be solved. They are wounds to be healed. And healing takes time. You can't command a broken bone to mend overnight, and you can't command a broken heart to do so either. Modern psychology has a term for our failure to understand this: affective forecasting. It's a fancy way of saying that we are terrible at predicting our own future emotional states. When we are in the depths of pain, our minds project that pain forward into infinity. We believe with absolute certainty that we will feel this bad forever. The breakup has ruined our life. The failure has defined us. The grief will never end. Our reason gets trapped in the present emotional state. Seneca is telling us that our forecast is wrong. He is reminding us that there is a natural, powerful healing process that exists outside of our rational thoughts. Time is the agent of that process. It doesn't argue with your pain. It doesn't try to logic you out of your grief. It simply does its work, slowly, quietly, and unstoppably. It allows for new experiences, new perspectives, new growth. The sharp, unbearable agony of today slowly, imperceptibly, becomes the dull ache of yesterday, and eventually, the distant scar of a year ago. Reason cannot achieve this. Time can. Think of an elite athlete who suffers a career-threatening injury. Imagine Kobe Bryant at the peak of his game, tearing his Achilles tendon. The diagnosis is clear. The reason is brutal. The stats for athletes returning from this injury are terrible. His career, for all logical purposes, might be over. His rational mind could easily lead him to a state of complete despair, and for a time, it did. But reason couldn't regrow the tendon. What did? Time. The brutal, monotonous, day by day, hour by hour passage of time spent in grueling rehabilitation. The slow, painful process of healing and rebuilding. It was time, combined with his relentless will, that healed the wound that reason had declared fatal. His legendary comeback was a testament not just to his work ethic, but to the power of time to achieve what logic deems impossible. So, we have two powerful principles, two different ways of wielding the same tool. This is the art of becoming a master of time. You have to know when to use time as a sword and when to use it as a shield. When you are faced with a complex decision, an insult, a moment of anger or confusion, you use time as a sword. You actively create a pause. You use that time to dissect the situation, to let your rational mind take over, to cut through the emotion and find the truth. This is an offensive, strategic use of time. But when you are faced with a devastating blow that is beyond your control, a death, a deep betrayal, a profound loss, you use time as a shield. You don't have to solve the pain right now. You don't have to reason your way out of it. Your job is to endure. Your job is to persist. You raise time as your shield, trusting in its slow, powerful, and mysterious healing process. This is a defensive, patient use of time. The wise man knows which stance to take. He doesn't try to reason away a wound that needs healing, and he doesn't passively wait for a problem that needs solving. We live in a world that tells us to hurry, to react, to optimize every second. Seneca's wisdom is the ultimate rebellion against this cult of speed. He teaches us that our greatest source of power lies not in moving faster, but in knowing when to be still, to let the truth reveal itself, and to let the healing happen. Stop being a slave to the second hand. Start making time your ally. Remember Seneca's two great commands for wielding this power. First, when faced with a choice, remember that we should always let some time elapse, for time discloses the truth. And second, when faced with a wound, remember that time heals what reason cannot. Master this, and you will become master of your own life. Thank you for joining us at the Inner Citadel. If this helped you reevaluate your relationship with time, hit the like button and subscribe for more tools to build a resilient mind. We'll see you next time.